Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Today I'm going to do a very fancy Christmas card that involves a lot of technique. So this is going to be a little more complicated than the simple stamping. I'm going to be using die cuts, heat embossing, watercolor, and one of my most favorite sets, which is the Eden's Garden collection. So let me show you what we have. This is the flyer for the Eden's Garden collection, and you can see that there's a lot of pieces here. So let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit so you can see better. Oops, a little too much. Here we go. So what I mean by collection is that if you get the complete collection, it's going to include all of these different elements. So you've got stamps, you've got die cuts, you've got designer series paper, you've got this very wonderful specialty paper that's called the cotton paper, which is very interesting. I'm not going to be, I actually showed you this in a previous video, so you can go back and see that. I'm not going to use that one today. And it has some embellishments. And this collection is only available until January the 3rd. The stamps and the dies will be available afterwards, but you won't be able to get this wonderful collection of coordinating products that go with it. And if you decide, you can buy each of these things a la carte, individually, or you can get the entire collection for $82, and that is a 10% savings. And I'm just going to do a little bit of business talking here for the minute, because this is a very special day. Okay, so today we are right in the middle of the 3-day seasonal sale. And the seasonal sale is a 3-day event where you can purchase fine quality Stampin' Up! Products at a special savings. So the items that are on sale are cardstock, which is 10% off, ink pads at 15% off, and dies at 20% off. And that's an incredible deal in and of itself. But it also is happening at the same time as a very special joining promotion, which is that you can buy $125 worth of product for only $75. Now, I know this sounds really complicated because I'm talking about 3 different things here. Okay, I'm talking about the joining promotion at $75, the seasonal sale, which is only for 3 days, and the ability to get this set, this collection, for 10% off. The reason why I'm mentioning it is because you can take advantage of all 3 of those things at once. So let me explain to you how that can happen. If you join the Dandelion Cottage design team before November 30th, you'll be able to get a starter kit. And in the starter kit, you can get all of the paper crafting tools and supplies, materials that you'll need to make Christmas cards, stocking stuffers, gift boxes, and then after Christmas, thank you cards, happy birthday, Valentine's, and everything else throughout the year. So this is a fantastic time to get started because you can take advantage of all of these specials and make some homemade Christmas cards that will really wow the people that you share them with. If you decide that that sounds interesting, and there's a lot more information about this on my website at dandelioncottage.com. Go to the join page, and you'll find a complete list of all of the benefits, the free classes, the discounts, the specials, everything that that you need to know that I can't go into in just a few minutes here. So you can check that out. If you do that and you think, yeah, that's fantastic, I'd love to do it. I'd like to be on your team. I'd like to come to your meetings. I'd like to get some great design ideas and all of that kind of thing. Do it now during the 3-day special, and any of the ink pads, cardstock, and dies that you put into your starter kit will also have this 15 to 20% off on top of the starter kit promotion, which is getting $125 worth of product for only $75. So you can combine both those things together. And finally, the last thing I want to mention is that if in your order you include the Eden Garden or Eden's Garden collection, you will get that for 10% off plus all of the savings that I just described. That's a lot of information. I'm sorry to dump that on you all at once, but I really want you to know about it because the sale is over tomorrow. And if you miss the sale and then decide, okay, but I really would like to join the team and be part of this wonderful family of creative special stampers around the world, then the special $75 join promotion goes only until the end of November. So that ends on November 30th. So that's my spiel, okay? I wanted you to know that because I think it's a deal that's just too good to pass up. And if you have any questions at all, please contact me. I'd be happy to go over it with you and answer all of your questions and help you put together your starter kit. And I would love to have you on my team. It's a great group of people. We have a lot of fun. They're incredibly talented and creative, and we all inspire one another. So I think this is a really wonderful opportunity for you. Okay, let's get cracking. So here's the Eden's Garden stamp set, and it comes with a lot of really nice sentiments and these wonderful designs. If you get the bundle, you also get these wonderful dies, and I'm going to be using some die cuts today. But because this is Watercolor Wednesday, I am going to show you how you can do a very easy wash to use as a background for your projects. And the color I'm going to be using today is Evening Evergreen. And I have a piece of the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. This is 140-pound paper. It's 100% cotton. And I'm going to just use my spritzer and give this a little bit of a spritz. So I'm going to do this away from my surface here. Okay, that's all spritzed up. And I'm just checking. I want to make sure that I am broadcasting here. So let's see. Yep, there we are. Okay. And there's some people. Hey, Ginger. Nice to see you there. Kelly, good morning. I know it's a little earlier on the West Coast for you folks. I'm just spritzing my paper a little bit more because I want it to be nice and damp so that the ink moves on it. Now today I'm going to be painting with water-based inks because I want the I want this color, Evening Evergreen, to coordinate with the cardstock that I'm using. And all I've done is I've just put a few drops of ink on the lid of my stamp pad here, and I'm going to use that as a palette. And today I'm going to be using my thicker or wider water painter. Let you have a good look at that. So this is the brush. It's about, I think it's about 1/2 an inch wide. And I'm going to squeeze a good amount of water so I get a nice soupy puddle of ink there. And I'm just going to come in from the edges. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm making sure that I get the ink on the edge itself of the paper. And I'm just going to go around. I can even spritz it to help that ink move a little bit better. And you'll notice that I've got a strip along the top here that's a little darker than the rest of the area. So I'm just going to bring this down in a nice gradation. There we go. Okay. I have a sponge dauber here, and while the paper is still damp, I'm just going to go along these edges. I want to make sure that there's no white edge showing. There we go. And then I'm going to just angle the dauber to get a little more ink along the edge. And I think you can see that this paper is still plenty wet, so that moisture is going to help to create a really nice blending as I go around. Okay, and then I can, if I just come in the corner a little bit, I can add a little extra color here and there. Okay, so there is my gradated wash. I can help this along a little bit, get that just how I want it. And I'm going to put this aside to dry. Now, while that's drying, I have another one that I did earlier. And what I'm going to do now is take my stamp, and the stamp I'm going to be using is, I think I'll use this one. Now, these are distinctive stamps, and what I mean by distinctive stamps is that if you look closely, you'll see that they're tonal. Okay, there's a light, a medium, and a dark. And I find that when you're using a distinctive stamp, it really helps if you take your sponge dauber and just add a little bit of ink onto the surface of your stamp. Sometimes when you put the stamp right inside your ink pad, it's too inky and you get too much ink on all at once, and it kind of obscures the tonal detail. So I'm just going to dab my ink on like that, and then I'm going to come along the top here, and I'm just going to put a very light kind of a design, and I'll show you this closely in just a sec. So I'm getting this beautiful soft impression of these leaves hanging down from above. All right, and then I'm going to increase that. I'm just going to overstamp. And now I do want it to be a little bit darker. So I'm adding a little more ink, and I'm just going in between. Like so. Okay, and I think what I'll do is I'll come in from the corners on the bottom as well. There we go. All right, maybe one more over here. All right, so there is a really lovely combination of stamping and watercolor wash using the water-based inks, and I'm using all the same color. This is the Evening Evergreen, and that coordinates with the designer series paper that comes with the Eden's Garden collection. Now I also have a little pack of die cuts that I've already done ahead of time, so you don't have to watch me cut all these things out. So I have an Evening Evergreen card base. I have another piece here that's cut for a box top. I'm not going to be doing that today, but I may be doing that on Saturday. And then I've got these wonderful border die cuts. Okay, so I made those using this die, and it's extra long. It's actually, let's see, it's 6 inches long, so you can get a very nice long strip with this, and it only cuts on the decorative edge, so you can make this as wide as you like. I kept it narrow because I'm just going to be using this along the top of my card, but I've cut out a piece in the gold foil and also in the Evening Evergreen. And then I've got an assortment of other foliage and wreaths that I've pre-cut using these dies. And I also have a little cherry cobbler tag that I use the Elegant Tag Punch. Excuse me, time for coffee. I see more people here. Who's here? Linda. Anna Marie from the Netherlands. Hello, Anna Marie. That card that you made was just gorgeous. And I have to confess that part of what I'm doing here today with the watercolor background and the stamping was inspired by you. So now, if anybody here doesn't know who Anna Marie is, please look at a previous post that I put below right here on my Facebook page. Anna Marie sent me a magnificent card that she made just a day or two ago, and you can go see that. So, so nice to have you join us today. And Susan Bates, good morning, Susan. Sandra. Okay, so we got a lot of people here today, which is great because this is going to be a very pretty card, and it's got a lot of parts to it. Now, if I can just not lose my voice, we'll be in good shape. So I've got all these pieces that I'm going to be using to decorate the card, but I want to do one more bit of technique before we get to this, and that is heat embossing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same stamp that I used to stamp the foliage with. I'm going to clean it off. I'm going to give that a little bit of a spritz to help clean it, because my chamois is getting a little bit dry here, so I'm just going to give that a little bit of water to help. Oh my goodness. All right, now Versamark. So the Versamark ink is a clear ink that you can use like glue to make the embossing powder stick to the card. So for this, I'm going to use the same stamp, but I'm going to offset it slightly. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So I'm going to place the stamp in the same areas where I put these darker leaves, but I'm going to shift it over a tiny bit. So I'm going to shift it up and to the left a little bit from the image I just made. And what this is going to do, it's going to create a shadow effect. I told you we were going to get a little complicated today, so just hang in there with me and you'll see what I mean. All right. Now I have my gold embossing powder. So let me just get a piece of scrap paper. And this does not need to be perfect. Okay, we're going for a kind of a texture effect here. And I'm going to do a two-step heat embossing. All right, so I'm going to begin by embossing this portion, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to do a second step, but before I get my heat gun or my heat tool out, I'm going to mute so you don't have to listen to the noise. Okay, so there is a little bit of gold sparkle, and I want to add one more thing. So using my Versamark, I'm not concerned along the top edge because that's going to be covered, but just along these side edges, I'm just very gently angling the pad and just rubbing it along the edges, like so. Actually, what I can do is I'm just going to tip this right into the bucket and just pick up that powder. Okay. All right. Okay, one more time with the heat tool. Okay, so there is my base, and you can see that the gold edge is just picking up a little bit of that glimmer, just giving it that beautiful finished look. All right, and this is going to be mounted on my card like this. All right, so let me use my liquid glue for this. Did I mention this is going to be a Christmas card? This is a Christmas card, and to me, Christmas is about evergreens and sparkle and glimmer. So I wanted to capture some of that spirit in this card. Now I'm adhering this half sheet of the watercolor paper so that it's lower to the bottom and that I've got an equal border on the sides and the bottom. And I'm going to give that a really good burnishing because this is thick paper. I want to make sure that that's adhered very well. And I'm just using the side of my bone folder to make sure that that glue is spread into all of those textures of that paper. All right, so there we go. Now, let me find my border pieces. So this is the evening evergreen, and I've cut this border a little bit wider than my gold border, and this is going to help enhance this kind of shadow effect. So I'm going to apply this first. And I'm just going to line this right up with the top and sides of the card, so that's nice and even. I'll hold that in place for just a moment. Oh my goodness, I forgot my sentiment. Okay, I'm gonna have to, I forgot, I want to put my my sentiment in gold embossing as well. So let me get my sentiment out. Now for my sentiment, I'm going to be using a different stamp set. And for that I have Heartfelt Wishes. And I'm using this Merry Christmas with these wonderful long extensions on the script. And I'm also going to be using the Sending Love for the inside message of the card. So I have a little panel here. This is very vanilla cardstock, and this is going to go on the inside of my card for my message like this. And I've used the stitched rectangle dies to cut this out so that it has this very beautiful detail on the edge. And for my inside message, I'm just going to be using my Evening Evergreen. And I'm going to be using the Sending Love sentiment. And I'm just going to put that right in the middle. Let me get this straight. There we go. So that's on the inside of my card. And then on the outside, I'm going to put this Merry Christmas. And I'm going to do this in 2 steps again. So this time, I'm going to begin with the Evening Evergreen. And I'm going to put that along the bottom portion of the card here, just like so. All right, and then what I want to do is the same thing again with the heat embossing. So I'm just going to clean this up. And using my Versamark, I'm going to stamp this slightly above the Evening Evergreen, so it's a little bit staggered. All right, I'm getting the heat tool out again. So I'm just muting. Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't have you. I, I was muted and you couldn't hear me. I'm doing a redo. I don't like the way this came out because what happened was the gold heat embossing stuck to my evening evergreen stamping. So it's the same gold and gold. So I'm going to add a label now to the surface of that. And for this, I'm going to use Very Vanilla and the gold heat emboss. Hold on, I'm going to mute you. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that little muted. So let's just cut this out. I'm just coming in along the edges with this evening evergreen so that it works nicely with the background. Okay, so that will be adhered to the card like so. I'm getting out my dimensionals for this. Okay, now you can hear me now, I hope, can't you? And I'm just going to use some glue dots so that these bits stay flat. All right. Get that on there straight. There's my new sentiment. I just want this to have a little extra curl. There we go. Okay, Now, let's get back to the decorating. So I have here these pieces. And I'm using the Elegant Tag Topper Punch as my base to hold all these decorations in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by attaching my ribbon. This is that art gallery ribbon. What is it called? Fine art ribbon. Fine art ribbon. And it has this wonderful gold foil woven through it. And I'm just going to put a glue dot right on the top of that tag. I'm going to fold this ribbon across itself. Just like so. And that's going to hold that in place. Give that a little bit of a trim. And now I'm just going to keep building on top of that. So I have some of this gold thread. I'm going to tie that in a knot. I'm going to add a little bow. Now this kind of embellishment is something that you can use on tags, boxes, gift bags, anything you like. So you could even have a number of these ready to go ahead of time. And now I'm just going to use, let's see, I'll start with this one. And I'm just using the glue dots to tuck these in. So I'm using the green ones as a base, and that little bit of cherry cobbler on the tag below really helps to add that little extra Christmas color. All right, and then finally I have a gold foil die cut. Put this one right in the middle. Let's clear some of this away a little bit. I'm going to grab a dimensional and put this on the back of my tag. that up in this corner. I have my sentiment for the inside of the card. I have a little gold foil piece to put in there and just putting a couple of dots of glue on there. Alright, so there's the inside of my card with enough room for a little message. And then finally on the outside, I have some embellishments here. So I want to add a little bit of this gold sparkle. These are the champagne rhinestone basic jewels. So I'll take a bigger one, put that on top of my tag, and just sprinkle these other ones around. And I have my red rhinestones. Now, if you have those beautiful gems that come with the collection, you can use those instead. I don't happen to have those, so I'm just going to use the red rhinestones because that's what I have handy. And I'm just going to put a couple of red berries in my garland here. Just kind of scatter those around. Maybe one more. And that is my very opulent, very shiny card for today, using the Eden's Garden dies and stamps. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that gave you some ideas. I know that it included a lot of different techniques, but you can mix and match however you like. And I want to thank Anne Marie for her inspiration. And for those of you who have not seen her card yet or her video, please check out the post that I have from just the other day. I'll be back on Saturday for Paper Crafting Saturday, and I'm going to be doing a kind of a continuation on a theme, but with a box. And again, if any of you have any questions about the wonderful sales that are going on right now, please go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com. There's a lot more information there about joining my team and some of the sales. And when I'm done with the video today, I will be posting some links below. So if you want to come back and find those links to the various promotional offers that I talked about, you'll be able to do that. And remember, the seasonal sale is only until tomorrow, so you do have to act fast if you want to take advantage of those extra savings. So thank you so much for joining me. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will be back on Saturday for Paper Crafting Saturday.